Oh, hello everyone. I don't see anyone here yet, so I'll wait and say this again in a little bit. Hey Dave, brother, much love. I see Dave's in. I see a couple people. We're up to 7. Just waiting a little bit, you guys, girls, till a few more get in here, and then I will begin. And of course, try to keep it short without me rambling. But as most of you know, when we get channeling or rolling, it just keeps going and going. Okay, I see 23 on here now. Beautiful number. All numbers are beautiful. So I'll begin. Okay, so we got this titled Ascension Energy Update. Well, the first thing, what I wish to say is that, as we know, with this whole ascension and with everything that is occurring with each on an individual basis, it is not an illusion. It's not delusional. And I'm saying this for the effects of ones that maybe have doubt or just beginning to tune in for the first time. Um, so this is not a false hope. It is not a uh, false programming or trap or whatever, some that are just waking up may refer to it as or may get led astray down that path. What I'm saying is this is very real. We know it. It's not false hope, and it's confirmed by all of us. So this ascension is very real. It is occurring, and again, there are so many confirmations of that through the experience, and that's what's so important as well. And having said this again, I wish to remind everyone, with your beautiful, profound, miraculous experiences, to keep sharing them with your interactions, documentation of the ships, your videos, your pictures, your stories. It's so important as we keep compiling this treasure trove of documentation, confirmation, and all of this. So, yeah, the ascension's very real. For anyone, again, new watching, I am what I consider myself an ascension teacher and a purveyor of divine wisdom. Now, with this ascension, none of us are to be idolized, and especially not I. I share information and I give instruction, and I'm well bestowed with the divine knowledge to do that. I have no expectations upon any of you to do what I say. In the very rare occasion, it did occur with I, at least right at this time, 3 times, but that comes in a very important divine situation. However, what I share is open for all. There's no expectation upon any of you, any of us, and it's about sharing that we all rise together. So again, there are to be no one to idolize what I do, and it's always great to keep up to date, to see on what the other teachers are sharing as well. But what I suggest is, most of this in your own hearts, and to keep following that. So again, it's not a false hope. It's very real. We know it is, and there's so much magic going on with that. So I just put out a post. Some of you may have seen it. A couple actually. I put one on last night, which is part of my truth, how uh, upon integrating more of my etheric divine self in this body, uh, just to give you an example of the immense energy that we, you, us, are able to contain within our fields. That post was, I said that I burnt the green grass, my sneakers did, walking across it after I had brought down the huge energetic aspect of myself. So that is one truth, and it is very real. And I know there's other ones of you that have assisted in opening um, divine portals and activating, let's say, grid nodules and doing grid work to the ley lines for the 5D and what have you. And during the course of that, um, I did, I and others work together with doing this, and some of the very powerful ones that I was fortunate to collaborate and work with. For example, if I needed a portal opened somewheres or an anchoring, sometimes I would call through private message one, and or they would we'd be divinely connected to get the job done. And they would do the work, and they would see the magic theirself. For like one example, a very powerful divine feminine, she had sparkles coming down when she did her divine work. She captured it, um, you know on her device, and so it is very real. So again, um, so let's look at the stuff, if you will. So it is very real. So, as I said, when I brought in the higher essence of I to begin to battle the darkness, is what that post is about. It's a couple down on this timeline. And, that's what we're all here to do as well. We're here to set ourselves free, but we're also, to make it a better place for humanity overall, and for the souls that may not be ascending at this time. So this is where our divine purpose and mission comes in. So now, to assist us with all of you that have been keeping up to date on what's been going on, and of course, following what I do put out. And what I wish to say, we should not have I'd like to change that label on Facebook, followers. We should just change it to community or something all inclusive, for the word follower, what it entails. That does not resonate with I. So hopefully Facebook will change this. Divine Comrades would be great, hey, have a look, see that there's several thousand divine comrades connected with Rick. We're all sharing information. Not only am I sharing it out through the lives um, and the posts I do, there's also valuable information that is shared by each of you on the comments, where we add to perhaps what I've posted, and there's more information that pertains to it, and it constructs and compiles a more inclusive comprehension of exactly what's going on, and also confirmation. So we all work together with this, as we know. And I know I'm jumping all perhaps over the place, so let's get back on track, or I will get back on track here. So the last poster I put out just below this live, I believe, and anyone, I began putting the dates on these lives because, again, in these lives, I do refer to posts I put out on that day or just previous. So I began to do that for one reason. Also, another reason to we're leaving behind a legacy here. So it's great, to have some kind of a chronological order in the lives that we do, and to label them with an actual date for an easier access, and an understanding when someone's coming along, perhaps later, trying to follow and connect the dots. It's much easier to have them in chronological order. Okay, so the last post I put out, I put out information a few days ago again, and this topic's been perhaps ongoing for maybe a month or so, about the energy in your hands becoming more prevalent, visually able to see actual sparks from your fingertips, seeing glow from your hand, feeling the actual energy in your hand. So right at this time, within my hand, there is an actual ball of energy that I can feel there. It has weight. You cannot see it, but it is here. Now, with some, you can visually see it. Some of you can at times. At times, I can visually see some, let's say, different color sparks. It's dependent upon the energy. Sometimes it can be just blue electricity. Other times it can be yellow. And a new one the other evening was orange, pretty orange. And so I'm just sharing that with you. And however, so again, in that previous post, the reason why the Christ could walk on water is because the Christ could manipulate energy, the same as each one of us, and this is what's occurring now with your crystalline vessels. You're becoming more enhanced. The energetic values of what each of you have is becoming stronger. It's increasing. And you could look at this as your co-creator aspects. And it also is part and parcel with your divine mission and purpose here upon the surface at this time. So all of you watching this and who will watch it in the future, yeah, indeed, you do have a purpose and a mission here beyond just living and being in a robotic, monotonous state of going to work, coming home, going to sleep, get up, go to work. And no, that's not what we are and what we're here for. We're here for this definite change. And with this, each one of us is protected to the fullest degree. Now, this does not mean that some do depart here through what humanity may perceive as a death process, but that is very limited for us, as I know many of you can attest to and have done in the past, that we do not die, and that's very important to know that. So we continue with our mission with no fear whatsoever, and do not get caught up into the fear propaganda of diminishing your prowess and your mission. So the more we keep all connected, interconnected, it is more powerful for us all. Any forms of separation, it's not empowering. It's all about our unity and supporting each other and keeping our energy combined, which also creates such a great change in the timelines, in the reality, and in the overall vibration of Gaia. So it's all interconnected. It's so important what each one of us does. It ripples through the timelines, through humanity here, and it does make a difference. And for, the strength of each one of you and how strong you are now, you have more of an impact upon that reality out there than you ever did. So getting back with that currently with this ascension, we're always going upward, as all of you know that. And, sometimes it will spiral or perhaps stay still, but no, we're always going forward. And there's always new and exciting things. However, again, it is a process. And, once you get to this level, then you activate more gifts and it becomes fun for a while. And then, you may become excited. Then we got to wait before we get up a little bit higher. But it's a process with this ascension. And, from the humanoid behaviors, sometimes we do feel like an impatience or that this is dragging on. And, in those moments, always think of the magic and that we're always going forward, and bring yourself into the state of the now, and just recall the beautiful moments of your journey, the good positive ones, and of course the miraculous ones, to bring you to a good state in the now, and to shake your head if the mind is saying this is not real. Shake your head and say, yes, it is. I've seen the signs, I've seen the miracles. And very quickly, as you can see, it uplifts, it raises your vibration, it lifts the veil, your consciousness raises. So again, we're in these lower dimensions. There's was many influences, negative influences to contend with, which are designed, to cloud the judgment. However, divinely, what we are is nothing harms us. So we are going through the process of lifting the veil. The negative energies that are projected, you are building up your own mechanisms that pushes the negative influence away, so that you get full control of your state of being here, and that you're not affected nor influenced by any outside negative dark force. So you're always protected with this. Getting back to the hands with your energy and what is going on, as many of you know, for most part in the males, it's your left arm, and the energy that is being increased. The anatomy, the biological, organic anatomy of your left arm underwent a lot of reconfiguration to prepare you for, especially with the nervous system, because this is where the electrical impulses travel along within these human vessels. But also it's important to note the plasma also that is in your blood, that is in your veins, in your arteries. It is a plasma crystalline field that it sets the polarity to a degree. It adds the frequency to the electrical impulse. And more on this will be coming out when you're ready, but just to give you a general introduction of how this gift works, and of course what its purposes are. And with any of these important divine gifts, this is why you're learned and taught extreme discipline. And you're disciplined, during this ascension from the first area is the heart, the purity of the heart. And it's because you need to have that to the positive, into the purest, because you cannot be using energy balls in your hand if you have any vengeance in there, any impatience, worry, which are all fear aspects. Because if you have a deep unhealed wound, let's say within your heart, you are not going to be able to operate to your full capacity, your divine powers, because what you are doing, you're interacting with reality here. And this reality here right now is under a divine plan that it cannot be negated by anyone. We're eradicating the fear, which is it's the negative aspects of the ion, if you will, of the atmosphere. So we're changing the polarity to positivity, and we don't wish for any of you to have negativity in you when you're interacting with reality, which is space. So the same molecule that's in the cigarette is also in the air, and it's also in you as co-creators. And it comes with great responsibility and great discipline in what we're doing here. So again, the importance of eradicating all fear, doubt, blame, guilt, all of these aspects out of your being. And having said that, so with this ascension, again, part of it, what assures it, because you're transitioning from the human consciousness to your divine consciousness, which is all-knowing, ever-expanding, which is connected to your heart, the seat of the soul. So when you're activating this divine consciousness to higher degrees, you're always tested and subjugated to the test, to the experience, to evolve yourself out of it. So with these tests, it's very important that you have the experience in the material and that you have it in these timelines here, because not only when you pass a test is it good for you in reality through the experience, it's good for the overall reality that exists here upon the planet. Every time you pass and overcome and master a test, it has a direct impact upon reality here. By you, for example, overcoming impatience, when you don't become impatient any longer, when you master the negative aspect and become patient, what occurs is that then you charge your reality to the degree of patience. And this is positive, and it changes then dependent upon the prowess of you, your energetic field. It has that impact that is circular, it goes outward from you upon your reality. For example, if you're a very calm, patient master, you will go out into reality and you will see that you may be in a busy city. However, it's calm, it's relaxed, there's perfect harmony, perfect flow. Now, this comes with your higher degrees of mastery. However, you do have an impact. And for some of you beginning, your mastery, at least in close proximity to you with one-on-one, you can begin to marginally see your impact upon an individual. Not stop with your individual engagements. It expands into the outside reality dependent upon the power of you. And again, your power, it's up to you to increase it, and you are assisted divinely in all ways when you put your intent towards that. And many of you have excelled by surrendering to your divinity. Once you reach such a level in your consciousness, then you knew what was going on, and you began to excel in your gifts and in your divinity upon the surface at this time. So with the hands getting back there, with the energy coming out of them, well, it's the same thing with the Christ, with Jesus, and also, other masters here uh, that are incarnated upon the surface at this time, as well as all of you. I wish to consider all of you ascended masters as well, for we all are, and we're here to do a divine mission. So, having said that, there is, each one of us has our roles. We are delegates of divinity, if you will, and there may seem that there's difference among us to the degree of what our divine purpose here is. Yes, it is, because we are a huge team, and there is not one of us that is working specifically on everything here. It takes all of us together, and each one has their divine task to work upon. So it's important to know that we're all part of a team, and each and every one of us, no matter if you may just be one sitting in a house, just being in a state of love, you're making a difference. While we may have another one, an activist right out on the front lines, that may be their divine task. So everyone is equally important. You're all interconnected, and we all play a part, an important part with this. Okay, so back to energetic update, recent ongoing with purging. So what I'm seeing is that there is more collective purging that is going on. And this is mostly where I'm seeing it is in the areas of ones that are empowered to the level for the divine union aspect, which is becoming, it's very prominent in this now. It's very important in this now and going forward. So those that are to be in the sacred divine unions, where a lot of creational energy is enhanced to change reality. Any of you, any of your partners, any in these relationships will be, experiencing preparation for that. Any little things you may not have mastered, they will come up very quickly to be done and mastered and overcome any of these, what you could call hindrances. Then the solution is put out into the collective to assist the collective. So there is to be no giving up on what you're doing in your relationships. Know that there is a solution, and the reason why it's occurring is because you are to create the solution, the remedy to it. And by doing that, sharing it, and it gets integrated within the collective. Now, also, because of disharmony in relationships, not only in let's say ascending ones in your relationships with divine feminine and divine masculine, any disharmony there, yes, has to go. But also, when you transmute for the collective any disharmony, what occurs, it raises the vibration of the collective, but it also affects the masses. And the way that creation works is that with the masses, by you working on your higher enhanced energetic levels as divine couples, what you do is you influence the unawakened masses, you influence the timelines of society in such a way that integrated within them that they will just no longer, for example, want to fight in a relationship. They'll want to reconcile it. They will want to make it work. And as co-creators, it begins with you and the couples, that you begin to charge the reality to the degree of harmony. So this is also why it's so important for all of you in divine relationships to come together at this time, because this also changes reality out there very quickly, and it's very powerful. Now, having said this, as many of you may know, one of the threats in the early stages of this ascension to the darkness that did not want this to occur is that, there was a lot of interference by the darkness, actually perpetrating events between very powerful couples to keep them separated. And it's because of the fear of the darkness, because they knew that it meant their demise as well. By changing reality out here to a fully harmonious reality where poverty, suffering, misery, where none of this remains. And, the darkness at the very core, this is what they thrived on, the fear energy, and in the misery and the negative energy. So you can readily see why you, as a divine couple, would be a threat to the darkness or the remnant of the darkness. So again, it's very important. Keep all together. Know what is, actually what goes on, that there is a resistance in the past against you, but you are much more stronger than that. You would not be going through this. You would not be here. This is not in vain. However, it's a process to increase that prowess that you have as an individual and also as couples. So it's very important. Give me a moment. I'm going to go and put the light on. I was mentioning a little bit about the darkness, and it got darker in here. So let's speak about the light. So get the light on. Woo! Let there be light. Here we are. So yeah, there's okay, what am I in here? Rambling 32 minutes so far. Okay. So lots of good things are occurring, and yes, it may feel like you're spiraling, but it's always upwards. We're going as we clean each level of reality and raise the vibration. Then we jump to another level, and we don't do this forever. However, it's a process to get us out of the lower realities, out of the fourth dimension. So what's occurring right now is that you may wish to look at on these timelines that we're in a temporary 4D space. And what we are doing is acclimatizing all of reality to the 5D state of being. So again, it's a transitional process. What we're dealing here with is all of creation in this dimension. So as you can see, this is also one of the reasons why it does take a while. We don't wish things like a 3D term future shock. So, it's kind of like baby steps in there. However, these baby steps are now, we're up to what you could call adult steps when we take these steps and we make more significant shifts forward in the overall ascension. So yeah, many are also, transmuting yet for the masses, as I mentioned before. Any fear responses, any fear actions, experiences with that will be coming up for you, and very quickly recognize they're only tests, and do not get caught up in any drama. with it once you know, and to stay in your higher consciousness. If you feel negative from something, get the consciousness risen up, get your vibration risen up so that you can see clearly to what is actually transpiring. So that's important. Again, the key is your vibration. Keep it higher, because then it lifts up the veil and you get your higher divine consciousness back, so that you don't get caught up in prolonged periods of negativity and attracting, senseless negative things that you don't need. And having said this, it's important to watch for your outward signs. Now, it's best for a lot of you when you're at points that you feel like you're confused in your consciousness, when you feel that your intuition may not be working properly, that you just don't feel you trust, that you have doubt. And this usually occurs in the beginning of the awakening process, when you learn to master. So if you're in an area where you may have confusion, where things may be contradicting, where you may have doubt, and where you may not be trusting, when you get into this area that you need assistance, call on your angelic connections, your divine connections. Call directly on Creator or the angelic realms of light, and specify you're calling on a certain archangel, like Archangel Michael. Assure that you say Archangel Michael of light. And this is very important. So when you call on assistance from the higher angelics, do this. However, if you need a confirmation, if for some reason you're confused, for some reason that it doesn't feel that you can trust fully your heart, your intuition, then ask for your outward sign. That way, the universe will put that outward sign out there for you. Then it's no mistaken that it's contaminated by any of your thoughts or your feelings. If you are in a negative situation where things are fluxing back and forth, negative and positive for you. So this is one thing, that you can do in extreme times, is ask for an outward confirmation that you can visually see as one of your signs, which can assist you. However, in the teachings, part of learning this is to trust your heart in the beginning. And as your heart is connected with your higher consciousness, your crown chakra, then you begin to trust it all. However, sometimes, we are very powerful energetic beings, and a lot of the energetic transmissions on the surface here from towers, from Wi-Fi, all of these things, that sometimes they can interfere. So to rule out that error that you may get from trusting your own instincts, you can call upon the guidance from Creator or the angelic realms to say, hey, just put a confirmation out there that I will see. Then I know that I'm not contaminating it from anything I maybe have within, anything I'm currently transmuting for the collective or transmuting for myself. So that is just one tip that may work for you. Must be getting close to quitting. My cigarette keeps going out. Stop going out. So with this, it is good for you to openly share things that you did. And now this may when you look at being humble and being modest, uh, this is very important that you rise above that to own your divine identity and to openly proclaim your feats of what you do, but in a good way. You give your statement of, you're genuine and what your intent is, and always in a good way. But it is important to claim, to take what's the word? To take the credit for your accomplishments. And now with this, I was very pleased to see this morning Brother Yannick, which I love so much, and I've physically met a couple times. And with his, I put the post out on, I shared it on my timeline about his working with the violet flame. Now, anyone not risen up enough in their divinity would look at it, as something conceited, that they're bragging or that it's not spiritual. However, no, it is very important that you own that divinity, lest you succumb to words like modesty and humility and stay in the closet where no one ever sees you. That's not what this ascension is about. You're to rise up to openly proclaim what you are, what your feats are, and what your gifts are. You are to be peers for others. You are the miraculous healers. We are the ones that we were looking for. It is us. It's all of us. You and I, all of us. That's what it is. And you cannot stay in the closets with your gifts and all of this. Share them openly. If you took your hand and moved a huge 1,000-pound stone up in the air and placed it on a hill, tell someone that you did that. It's important. So it's what we are, and you got to own it and you got to share it. This is how we create change. If we got 3.28 million healers upon the surface that don't heal anyone and don't share their abilities, it doesn't change anything. You need to get out there. You need to do it. You need to show that you can do it. Even though if it's above human logic and human perception, do it. Because then they look and they shake their heads, and then you plant the seed and they know it's something more. And then they began to move forward and they began to break the conditioning of the 4D matrix. We began to change everything to the harmonics, and by endowing and bestowing the knowledge with them through being the peers, being the examples. So I'm getting into heavy preaching there now, putting lots of energy on it, yeah. But you know what it is. So what else you got here? So Egypt, very important, yes, in the divine couples. And what occurs with that is in your timing, when it resonates as couples, I do strongly suggest to get to Egypt once you're pretty harmonized, the couples, because what occurs there will be further activations. However, what I strongly suggest, if you are not in complete harmony and to a very high degree of mastery as a couple, do not go. And one of the reasons, unless you're guided, one of the reasons for this is that there has to be a almost perfect harmonious situation between the divine couples before they go there, because there are certain activations that will come as a result of two being integrated with the harmony. There are activations. The activations will not come if you go there ability or to such a degree of mastery, because you do not activate these that you'll receive them. So it's important. You may get lesser activations, but the prime codex, what we wish to give you, it's instilled there within the energetics, especially around the Great Pyramid of Giza. So that is the main one, where your energetic codes are there for you to receive, but only when you reach such a level. And also with the couples, once you reach such a level of harmonics, then it's time to go and visit the Great Pyramid. Now, having said this, there are also other areas which you will need to visit. And for this dimensional space upon Gaia, there are what many of you call dimensional rifts, portals, stargates. They are each in the same, for the most part, I will say. Now, these areas will become important for further activations for you, and for you also activating these areas. For example, within you, you have codes to open these portals, to open these stargates, to activate them for others as well. So with this timing and the advancement with this ascension, there's some of that involved. There has been in the past, but it will become more enhanced and more magical the more powerful you become with this ascension at opening these dimensional doorways, portals. And there's nothing dark on the other side. The darkness is here. These lead to the higher light and the higher knowledge. The darkness only exists in the lower dimensions. It's part of the divine schematics and experience. So once you leave the confines of the lower dimensions like 3D and 4D, you get to 5D, there is in these higher dimensions, it's not based on fear at all. It is the light polarity of positive. And this is why it's essential to get you there with your physical bodies, to get rid of any control of fear upon you, which again can be worry, getting pissed off, being irritated, impatience, to outright rage. These are anchors that keep you here in the lower dimensions, and that does not allow you to ascend. So you need to get the negative imprint, that polarity, out of your energetic field. So you become compatible with the higher dimensions where it does not exist. And with any of you scientists out there or physicists, you can see very quickly why, if you have a negative charged vessel, why it cannot go into a positive charged area. And it becomes very simple. So to put it in simple terms, yes, you need to let go of all negativity, all fear aspects, and know what's going on. Keep evolving your vessels to the highest and utmost degree so that you can take these organic vessels into the other dimensions for the new experiences we are going to have. So this is a process again, and it's very real, and it's not for nothing, and you're continuously getting your confirmations on that. So what else do I have here? Okay, again with what I've been sharing with you, and perhaps teach and sharing, it's the same thing over the last few days, is I began to put out some dots about Tesla, about Yogi, And about Yoga Nidra, I shared Sharon's example of the important meditation that takes you into uh, a higher state of consciousness, which is also required for astral travel, remote viewing, a lot of your parapsychological gifts, but also the bilocation and transport of the physical vessel. So there's more to come on that. So what I suggest at this time, some do not need meditation. You're able to uh, maintain that state consciously, quickly, without meditation. But for many, meditation is great to begin to get you familiar with your abilities and to coming to that state of consciousness, which allows you to transcend time and space in the least. So, hey, Trent, good to see you. The time is coming soon, he says. My grand, I love you, brother. You and Laura. So, yeah. So this is what's coming. Keep building towards it. You're receiving many downloads lately to advance each one and to assist you always to higher levels of your prowess. So this is only what I touched on, one of the fun things. Again, okay, Trent, you told me the date. Yes, you did. Please send me a message with that again, brother. Having said that, Trent had mentioned a certain date to me a while ago, and it just escaped my thoughts again, so I need to be refreshed. And with this, what I wish to say, and thank you, Trent, for bringing up this opportunity. I'm being fully open. I'm very knowledgeable on divinity, what's going on. I know the divine script. Um, I am an overseer of the Ascension to align certain events. I am a powerful creator, and this is the truth. However, what I wish to say is that also you are many things in that you assist and it's an exchange back and forth, in that many of us have all of the pieces scattered for each level we raise up. You have another piece you give to I have another piece to give to you. So again, this is the team that we're all working as. So we are all powerful co-creators in that respect, and we're working as a team at sharing bits of information back and forth. And it's why no one goes, alone. We all go together with this and assist each other. And it's the importance of recognizing that if if one of you had it all, you would not, be here with that. So one example why it's working this way. Now, with the last on this, and I'll take a break. With the last of this, do not be distracted by, let's say the viruses, the fires, the fear propagandas, even though, let's say that they may be very real. It's important for you as co-creators not to energize the extents of them by going to a state of fear and also energizing it. It's best as co-creators to recognize what it is and don't energize it, or even, do the opposite. For example, if someone's saying, "Oh, I'm really afraid, we're going to get coronavirus," say, "No, increase your diet to alkalinity. I see there's some other remedies out there, trust in God, get that stuff out to counter it, and don't let it spread to the masses, creating more fear and negativity that we need to contend with. We're here to raise the vibration in the timelines. And, the constructs of the darkness is doing things like this to distract and also to disempower the advancements we are making. However, all of their attempts is desperate attempts, and they are futile. And they're futile for the simple reason that we all know not to fall into the fear propaganda and keep the higher consciousness as co-creators, because we know we affect reality. And so again, that's why all of their efforts are futile with this. And having said this as well, I always love this part of reversing the aging process and curing your bodies instantly. Yes, it is true, very true. And we have this ability, and let's say we have it now. So let's see when it is allowed to occur right in this now. It could happen in the blink of an eye. Woohoo! So, again, it's keep happy out there. That's where your power lays as well, in your heart, but it doesn't need to lay there. You put it outward and keep as happy as you can, when you're able. There are some of us that at times we're not as happy. There's things we're working on. However, for those of you that are able to be fully happy, be happy and even more happy in these times. It's so much more important to do that while we're waiting, for our comrades to get over their tests so that they can be further empowered on the other side. So, we can say we're there holding joyous space, and while they're getting, the rest of their work done and all of this. So, I'm almost done. Linda Hickton says, light some candles. I'm done now, though, pretty well. I would have loved to have lit some candles. And for any of you that were following, I was trying to put a little quake there in Jordan Valley the other day, but if you look at, to tell Trump, and this is not only for Trump, this is for Palestinians, Israel, Syria, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, for this area of peace to come together and stop the ridiculous things. So I put out a little post, Donald, a minor Trump or a minor earthquake in the Jordan Valley. Well, just in the water to not cause any destruction. Off of Haifa, northern Israel, there was a little 4-point earthquake there yesterday. So we put that out. And this is important, and I'll come out and say it, that yes, let's say a lot more than just what we would call ourselves common people looks at what we do. And for one example, the Pope knew that the Christ was on the planet, and we see references to Trump when he speaks about God, he speaks about love, even Putin, and these what were major players, speaking about the Pope. Because no longer a major player, in what we're doing. However, it's very important that the leaders do recognize that you and I are here. They also see it, let's say one example, in the skies, all of the skies turning pink. They at least see the change, so they know it's true, and a lot more confirmations that when let's say some of the minions or the darkness in places of power attempted to cause mass destruction, how it was quickly thwarted. And one of these examples was a few years ago when they fired missiles from a submarine that was off of Alaska, off of British Columbia, Alaska, in North America, when they fired the missile towards Hawaii. And in Hawaii, they had set off, they had detected incoming, but boom, mysteriously the missile disappeared. So just another example. Also with North Korea and South Korea in that area, with Japan, China, and the U.S., you know, with what is it, Kim Jong or what have you. You know, it was very beautiful how the Korean missile crisis was thwarted, because there were missiles that were fired. However, they vanished, and Jung, you know, he thought, I better give up. There's something going on there. And so, and it is, and it's us, and it's divinity. And none of these shenanigans to any extent are going to occur. So it's cool. Anyhow, great. I love you all. Thank you. I think I was at 1 hour and 1 minute and 11 seconds a bit ago. Namaste and have a beautiful day. I love you and love and light. Thank you. Bye.